Concord by Fireworks Studios, coming out August 23rd, 2024. It is a supported developer of Bungie. Like, Bungie supports this developer. And yeah, welcome to Hero Shooter the game.
Take it away, Adam.
I have a lot to say about it. Not very positive. We'll kind of go into it to start. But like I said, this is a hero shooter, very similar to the sense of Overwatch, X Defiant now, Valorant a little bit. Even Halo gives me a little bit of Halo vibes. But so let's go ahead and roll the trailer. Yeah, this is one I'm not excited about. Out of all hero inspired or like Overwatch inspired games, this is at the bottom of my list. Overall, so what you're seeing, it's a space theme. Like, sure, it's pretty cool, but then you see the characters right now, they're all pretty generic to me. Dave, would you agree?
I'm gonna just throw it out there and say this. Do you know what this kind of feels like to me?
What's that?
I feel like somebody was just like a really big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy and was like, let's make 5 characters that kind of resemble Guardians, but like make them look different but have the same personalities.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But to me, like, I even feel like a step further, like, they're just not well done either. Like, if I can see, like, if it was characters that were well done, it'd be different. But and that looks like Hellboy to me, like a whole Hellboy.
Right.
Without the horns. And like, game wise, it doesn't look very over.
But, like,
what are you saying?
What's Batista's character in Guardians? What's his name?
He's Drax.
Yeah, Drax. That's Drax.
Yeah. And then
you know what I mean?
That's kind of, who's that then? Robot.
The
kidding.
robot? That's kind of, that has the same personality as Star-Lord.
You think so? The big old...
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I don't know.
That's what I said. It's like they took the personalities of Guardians and just like gave them new bodies.
Right.
And we're like, let's make it a 5v5 shooter.
Yeah, and it's not, doesn't look exciting to me. Like, the gameplay looks kind of slow and boring, and it has a lot of feel of, like, it just feels like a mashup of a bunch of different games into one. We talked about this with the one that we talked with Blue, and I don't know, like, and I don't really have anything else to say except for I don't like it. I mean, the trick shot is kind of cool with the sniper, but aside from that, I don't have much good things to say about this. But this is PlayStation's attempt at a live service hero shooter. They're all coming out, and I just don't know what's going to be great about this one. And I think what's going to make this one fail compared to all the others, this one is you have to pay for it. Like, there's not going to be a free to play option. And my thing is, one, it's a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. It's also a PS exclusive, so
throwing it down from there, and then you're gonna make people pay for it when there's things like X Defiant, Overwatch, Valorant, Call of Duty. If you have Game Pass, you have Halo Infinite. Like, there's so many games that have this market, and I understand that they're trying to get people into the, like, PlayStation wants a bite of it, but I don't think they're doing it in a way that's gonna bring people in. And another conversation is, like, they're trying to make a game that's going to keep you so ingrained in it. And I think that's also going to make it fail. And I think that's why a lot of these games are failing, is they're not trying to make a game that's really good, like, at its core, and like you play it and you're done. They're trying to make games that, like, will hold you for so long. And I think that's what's making some of these games, these titles, fail.
And I'm glad you kind of brought that up. Do you know why I think this isn't a free-to-play game?
Why is that?
Because I think their thought process behind it is, like, if it's a free-to-play, they're going to get people to download it and play it in the beginning, and it's not going to be good, and they're going to stop playing it. But if you were to purchase this game, you would probably feel an inclination to play it much longer than if it was a free-to-play. Don't you think? Because you're like, I spent money on this. Like, I have to kind of play it.
But at the same time, it's like, why am I going to spend money on this when I can go play something better and established, like Overwatch and things like that? So I think it was just a poor decision overall to say this is going to be a paid game. And it's not confirmed that it's a paid game, but just based off of the different editions and things like that, it's it's going to be a paid game, I think, or part of the PlayStation Plus games. And
Yeah, most likely, definitely going to be part of the PlayStation Plus. But I mean, I don't know. I think that's kind of what they were going for. I think, like we said, this gives me a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, and I think that's kind of the idea here. It's like let's make a trailer that is kind of mimicking something that's already popular, like you said, with like Overwatch and stuff like that, and give it this Guardians of the Galaxy feel, which is also already popular. And maybe this will be enough to get people kind of interested enough to buy it. And then once they buy it, it's like you're kind of got, what I mean? Because you're gonna play it for a little bit if you spend money on it. Like X Defiant was totally free. And again, like like don't get me wrong, I'm not an X Defiant player. I'm just not. You know what I mean? But it was very easy for me to uninstall that. You know what I mean? Like I don't have X Defiant anymore. If I paid for it, I'd still have it. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. Like games that are free, they're easy to get rid of, and games that aren't free, you kind of feel pressure to play them. Like when we both bought Gotham Knights, you kind of quit that one a lot faster than I did, but I put some good hours into that because I was like, I bought this game, I can't just let it go, and I can see that. But for me, like this doesn't have my attention at all in terms of like, yeah, I'm gonna pay for this game because like I just doesn't have my attention at all. Like for these hero shooters, one is probably the worst looking one. I'd rather play the Marvel Rivals game that I did not like over this game.
That has a lot to do with this being an original IP too. It's like at least with Marvel Rivals, the character.
And I appreciate all the characters, yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of already attached. I mean, this is a brand new IP. Nobody knows who these characters are, what their story is. There's no attachment here. If I never hear of these five characters again for the rest of my life, like I'm fine. I mean,
And I think this game has been in development, or it was announced like a year ago, I think, but you didn't see anything about it. Yeah, revealed a year ago, and you didn't really hear much about it. And now they're gonna say, yeah, we haven't told you about it, but guess what? It's releasing in August. Like it didn't give people a chance to like hype up the game and like really get into it and try to like, what is this game? They're like, nope, this is the game. Here you go play it. And like it didn't help at all that they didn't show more about it as time went on, or at least I didn't see anything as time went on. Like this is the first thing I've seen about it since last year essentially, and it was at the PlayStation Play to Stay, or Play to Stay, State of Play.
State of
Yeah,
play.
State of Play, Play to Stay. And really, that's kind of, and a lot of people weren't very happy with the State of Play because Concord kind of took it all, and so you're putting a sour taste in everybody's mouth. Like, wait, this is what you want to show us right now? Granted, there's gonna be a lot more games at the Summer's Games Fest. Like I'm sure they'll show Wolverine and stuff at the Summer Games Fest, but for this game to be the center focus is like, why? And I think that's why people are like, meh, I don't think this would be a good game.
This game being the center of focus is just kind of like showing an empty hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you made it all the way to the river and you got 7 deuce and like everybody called, so you just got to show it and be like, ugh, yeah, I can't believe we made it this far with this.
Yeah, exactly. But some things about the game, they're gonna have 16 characters at launch, and the characters are known as Freegunners. I don't cool. The characters they showed in the gameplay was Lennox, who's gonna have fast shooting revolvers, Vale, a sniper, Hamer. Sounds like Hamer. He's gonna be fast, vertical, or she is gonna be like half, or she's gonna be fast and vertical, moving around, really cool movement. Star Child, which is kind of like the Hellboy looking guy, brawler, close range, and One Off is like the oversized vacuum like gun dude. And yeah, other than that, gameplay modes, they haven't really shown what those gameplay modes are. I'm guessing it's gonna be like escort, like X Defiant and Overwatch now, and just some random things like that. But I do think one thing that they're it's gonna be cool. So it's gonna have a story to it, but the way they're doing the story is like each week is gonna have like a cinematic of the game and like character development. So that's kind of cool. Like there's gonna be planned content, but like Suicide Squad, how long can you do that for a game that nobody's playing?
That was my big concern, and I did see that, and I thought it was really interesting that they were going to do that. But exactly like you said, it's like how okay, so how many weeks do you have planned out now, and at what point, like what they have a threshold set of like when the player base drops below this line, not worth it anymore. And I'm curious to know what that line is because I think it's probably going to get there sooner rather than later.
I don't foresee it being long. I think this one is a game I think they'll be able to drop pretty quick. Like it's an original IP. I don't know if they're actually. I think they're putting a lot of money into it, but I don't think it's one that's going to hurt them if they just drop it. It's kind of like Microsoft's Redfall. They tried to get that game back, but never really came into a popular, fun game. And that's where I see this game kind of going. And it's sad because I think PlayStation's going the wrong way with these kinds of games. Granted, they had good success with Helldivers, and people are still playing that. But with this, like, the more they try to saturate the PlayStation market with these live service games, the worse they're going to start doing.
I totally agree with you. I feel like PlayStation should probably just cut ties with trying to do this.
Right.
Like at this point in the gaming industry, like that's not who Sony is.
No, they're
Like this isn't Sony. Sony is like where the winds meet, like the stuff that we just looked at. Like that's them.
yeah.
Like a very like in-depth, like intricate kind of single player RPG, adventure experience. Like that is Sony's wheelhouse.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you hear this all the time. It's like competitive like shooter, like multiplayer shooters, not a lot of not a lot of people that are really heavy into it are on PS5. Like
Right.
they don't play on PS5. It's like you have your PCers, your Xboxers, and like PS is not really. There's no like pro level dude on Call of Duty that like really jams out on a PS5.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not that I can think of
Yeah.
at least, and I could be totally wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just not who they are.
Right. And going off that, yeah, I definitely think Xbox has the multiplayer side much better than the PlayStation side, in terms of like their population. But yeah, like if I'm gonna pick an exclusive, we're gonna do this as a draft Xbox versus PlayStation at some point. But if I'm gonna pick like exclusive like games and like based off a story, and I'd rather lean more towards PlayStation. But like
Correct.
things like multiplayer and shooters, I'm going more towards Xbox. Like I can't think of a really solid Xbox narrative driven story game. Like off the top of my head. Like Halo, sure, but I'm not a Halo fan. But other than that, I can't think of any that really will bring me into play it.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's a couple. Nothing that really stands out in my mind either. But yeah, like exactly like you said, if you're looking for a single player, kind of exclusive experience, I'm leaning Sony. And I'm a Sony guy, but if you want to just ask me like, all right, we're going to competitive multiplayer. Like as much as I love Sony, I can't go that way. Like I'm going to be honest and say like Xbox is where competitive multiplayers play.
It's sad to see Sony's trying to dip into a market that is one already oversaturated, and two, it's going away from who they are as like a gaming console developer. And it's not just Sony, it's the developers too that want to put these games onto PlayStation, be exclusive. But yeah, I don't know. Helldivers, don't get me wrong, was a really fun and well done game as a live service game, but it was so different that no, like Xbox doesn't have a game like that. And I think that's why everybody loved it. It's like everybody's working together. Like name a game that everybody works together for the collective good of the population of the game. And it's not a multiplayer game. So it's kind of like it's a story game in a way, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think this is the route that PlayStation should be going.
And you can also see that like Helldivers is obviously still very popular, but not as popular. The hype definitely died down. You know what I mean? Like it was hot. Now it's kind of
It's still a good game. And I think it's a game that PlayStation has come to like play, like PlayStation fans come to expect. I play the game, get through a lot of it, and then I'm done with it. And like I think that's fine. And I think a lot of developers need to like, or not a lot of developers, they're going away from that in terms of like, oh, we need a game that's gonna hold them forever. Like we want a game like Call of Duty Warzone and Fortnite. We want everybody to stay here and not play anything else, put countless hours in, and they're not gonna get that with a game like this.
we touched on that a little bit when we were talking about Tales from the Shire. It's like, how long do you think you can play this game for? Well, I think some people are kind of moving away from just where gaming was. You know what I mean? And again, this is me just like kind of being an old head, but like I don't know. I never like I grew up just never like expecting to get that level of gameplay out of a game, and I honestly, and I know I'm not in this group, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but like I see this a lot with like online multiplayer players, people that really love online multiplayer. They just feel like if they don't put 150 hours into a game, they've been cheated. You know what I mean? Like I come from an era where you load the game up, you play through the game, you do everything you want to do, you beat it. Maybe you put like 30 hours into the game. If it's good, play it again. If not, like you're done. You know what I mean? And that's all I've ever expected. Yeah, like 30 hours is like great. I got my money's worth out of this for sure.
And I'm kind of going that same way now too. Like, yes, I've played tons of multiplayer games or Call of Duty. Like that was all I played growing up. But in addition to Call of Duty, I looked for games where I could, okay, can I play a game with a campaign? And then when my friends wanted to play, that's how I was like, okay, I'm gonna go play Call of Duty. But when it came to like just games I wanted to play and try, I always found something that I was like, okay, what's my next game? What's my next game? Right now, like the industry is like, all right, we want you to play our game until you die. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to find what's next, what's going to be more fun, and not have to worry about like not getting my money's worth because I didn't put 150 hours in. Like, and I just miss those kinds of games. I mean, there's still good ones out there. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like the multiplayer saturation is increasing drastically.
Yeah, and that's why you've heard all this ridiculousness about like, some companies saying very outlandish things like you better get used to paying for your games by hour. You know what I mean? Because they're noticing that people are just like really expecting to get like this 200 hours out of this game, and it's like that's I don't that's not that wasn't gaming for me. Like that was never gaming. I have a shelf of NES and Super NES games over there. I mean, a lot of my favorite games of all time, if you know what you're doing, you could beat those in like 2 hours. You know what I mean? And it's like it's still one of my favorite games of all time. Like I just don't need that level of like grind. I just don't. And I don't know. It's kind of sad that like some developers think they need to go that way. Like they need to keep you playing for 300, 400 hours. It's kind of weird.
And don't get me wrong, some of these games are really fun, and I do go back to them to do the multiplayer. But in term, I just think there needs to be less of it. And because in the games that people are playing, it's always the same four games: Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Overwatch, or five games, and then Halo. Like, there's not huge games that people are playing like those five games. And Halo's even kind of dying down.
Halo had a little bit of resurgence, but yeah, it's also kind of cooling itself off.
But in terms of like games like that, your no game is ever going to beat those five.
Yeah, and I think any game that's kind of going to jump in and be like, expects to compete with that is kind of crazy at this point.
That's like the
You know
people
what I mean? It's like
saying like, "Oh, Marvel Rivals is the Overwatch killer." No, it's not. X Defiance the Call of
never,
Duty killer. No, it's not.
never.
Yeah. This game's the Valorant killer. No, it's not.
No game is going to dethrone these games. I mean, I don't know what we should call them, like the Fab Five or something,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, these are
The five dynasties.
the five dynasties. These are the five dynasties of online multiplayer, and they will never be dethroned.
Other than that, if you're excited about it, I'm sorry. And I know we're probably gonna get comments here, Dave. Oh, you guys are just whining. Shut up. Like, get good. Like, you guys got to move along with the times. Like, I'm ready for it. Are you ready for it?
I'm so ready for it. You know I'm ready for it. I'm born ready.
So, I'm
Yeah.
excited for not this game. That's for sure.
Let us know down in the comments if you're excited for this game. Something we miss, like I said, we're open to opinion. We love hearing your opinions. Even if they do not coincide with ours. So if you have if you want to just call me a piece of shit, you could not leave that comment. That would be great. But if you have something that you want to let us know that we're kind of missing here, please let us know, because we do like to hear your guys' honest opinions, even though they might not coincide with ours.